When you're cultivating your chi, there's the quality of it.
Okay.
So you can be cultivating chi that is negative.
Oh,
And that
okay.
can, you know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
you could get to a place where you're very strong in your chi, but it's maybe like
A foundation of
it's
negativity.
it could not be the best
Okay, that's so
situation.
interesting.
So
I really want to touch back on the organ aspect because that is actually was my first exposure to this practice. I heard about how Qigong can really connect with all the organs and even facilitating healing. So I am going to get back to that. But first thing I want to do is if somebody who's listening today doesn't even know what Qi is, how would you explain it or describe it to them in a way? Because it's not a tangible thing.
mhm.
So what is Qi at its just baseline?
So chi, from the more esoteric or woo woo
Okay.
perspective, would be just life force energy.
Okay. Very nice.
So life force energy, that's a kind of a loaded term. What does that mean? So this is probably a good time to just start to break down the San Bao, which is the three treasures.
Okay.
So in Qigong, we have this concept called the three treasures, and that refers to the Jing, the Qi, and the Shen. So the Jing is our essence.
Okay.
And we have two types of that. There's the prenatal and the postnatal essence. So the prenatal essence is what we're born with. That comes from our hereditary ancestors. That comes from the genetics from our parents, our constitution. And then you have the postnatal, which is what's coming from our environment. It's coming from our food. It's coming from the air we breathe.
So I guess in Western terms, that's kind of like the nature and the nurture.
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
Mm-hmm. And so the Jing is very important to develop the Qi. And so this is something that I don't know what your line of questioning is going to be, but I do have a way that I'm trying to steer this conversation. So Jing, since this is primarily like a yoga podcast, I think that it's very important to draw some correlations here.
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably familiar with this idea of kundalini.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So kundalini is referred to as this kind of like coiled serpent at the base of the spine.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Chinese medicine, we have the Jing, the essence that is basically stored in what we will call the lower Dantian.
Okay.
And so I guess I should preface this by saying there are 3 Dantians, and the Dantian means elixir field.
Wow.
Basically. And it's referred to like a field, like you're plowing and planting things. Like that's not like not field like of space. Awareness or something. Yeah. And that's very important because it's like you're growing the Qi, right? So so you're taking that Jing. And so another important concept, which I'm sure most of your viewers are familiar with, is the yin and the yang.
Of
right?
course, yeah.
So the feminine is the yin, the masculine is the yang. So the Jing would be yin. Okay. And it would also correspond with the earth. It would also correspond with solid matter, so density.
Okay.
And so this is something that I think is similar to this concept of kundalini, that it's this energy and it's there, but it needs to be awakened. It needs to, and how do we do that? Well, we have to do that through these types of techniques. So I teach at, just shout out to Shunya Yoga Collective, which is my home base for teaching in the Austin area. That is a devoted Kundalini yoga studio. Nice. So I do practice my fair share of those techniques as well. And I think they complement Qigong very well. But like I said, there's this idea of this Jing, and we're taking that Jing and we're cultivating that Jing in this lower Dantian. So again, 3 Dantians. The lower Dantian is right below the navel space. Middle Dantian is in heart space. And then upper Dantian is third eye or forehead space. Okay. And so some people will say Dantians and chakras, not the same thing. Not the same thing. But from my perspective, maybe they're not exactly the same thing, but they kind of serve the same purpose as us defining energetic centers.
Yeah.
So I do consider Dantians to be very similar to chakras. And maybe like we're condensing chakras into like 3 instead of, 7 or whatever. But again, we're taking this energy in that lower Dantian and we're waking it up and we're turning it into the qi, the active form, which would be so we mentioned Jing as kind of a solid. So qi would be like a liquid.
Okay.
So we're taking it's the same thing. It's just in a different vibrational state,
right?
Okay,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so the Jing is kind of like this dense thing that's there. And once it's activated, it becomes the qi, and the qi starts to rise.
Okay.
And then ultimately, we're rising it up into, so middle Dantian would basically signify the qi or the active form. And then the shen, which is the spirit, is, and this can be confusing because in Chinese medicine, the shen is stored in the heart. But like when we're talking about the shen in this regard, we're talking about upper Dantian, and we're talking about it being what is connecting us with the cosmos. So this is the most yang aspect of the qi. So that would be like vapor. That would be like steam or mist. Like so what we're doing is we're taking that qi from the lower Dantian and we're circulating it up. And ultimately what they refer to this as is firming the shen. And so if you really get deep into the esoteric wisdom of Qigong, they're going to talk about birthing the immortal fetus.
What?
Which is yeah, I don't know how much we need to get into that today.
I love it.
But that is the ultimate purpose of Qigong cultivation from the Taoist perspective. So again, how are you doing that? Well, the most common way of doing that is through what we call the microcosmic orbit. So the microcosmic orbit, we're circulating that qi, we're taking it from the lower Dantian, we're circulating it down to the perineum, and then we're drawing it up, what we call the governor or the dew vessel, the dew mai, all the way up to the crown. And then that connects with what we call the conception vessel, which comes down the midline of the body, and it rests in the lower Dantian. So people who are more into the kundalini space, some people have made this differentiation that like in kundalini, it's all about drawing the energy up, up, up.
Okay, yeah.
One of the ways we're balancing that in Qigong is that we're also drawing it back down. So we're not just drawing it up, we're also drawing it back down and we're circulating it.
That's interesting.